In 1995, the International Court of Justice unanimously ruled that there is a duty for the states with nuclear weapons and all states to negotiate the elimination of nuclear weapons. The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty is a treaty which calls on the nuclear weapon states to negotiate the elimination of their weapons in exchange for the rest of the world not developing nuclear weapons. But they weren't doing it. So there was a group of people, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, ICANN, which pushed and created a treaty which 122 countries have signed on to in 2017 that is ready to get more signatures to enter into force. And this was an initiative of civil society, of people like you and I, because the governments weren't doing what they were supposed to do. So I'm very proud to introduce Maria Eugenia Villarreal, who's in the steering committee of this year's Nobel Peace Laureate, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons.
Encantada de estar.
It's a pleasure to be here with you as a Mexican, as an activist, as a promoter of this treaty for the elimination of nuclear weapons or abolishment of nuclear weapons. I want to discuss with you and tell you about our points of view, and I want to get each and every one of you involved, because as we were told in the first meeting that we held, each and every one of us has won or has the Nobel Peace Prize within us. So this is an invitation to bring this Nobel Prize out and become a possible solution, because we're part of the solution. As civil society, we have played an important role, and I'll tell you why. My colleague just mentioned the consequences, the horrible consequences of the use of nuclear weapons, because it is a massive destruction weapon. However, the threat has been there since World War II, since it was created. As we face the situation, we have seen ideas, treaties, free zones, areas that are free of nuclear weapons, for example, like in the case of Mexico. In 1967, in Mexico, we had a treaty that declares Latin America in a zone free of nuclear weapons. This treaty was created by Garcia Robles, and for this reason, in 1972, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. That's why we have been in a region that is ahead of its time, a region of champions in this aspect. So later on, Latin America was declared free of nuclear weapons, and 4 areas, 4 different zones in the world did the same. As a matter of fact, a good part of the territory is free of nuclear weapons. We also have a treaty of non-proliferation of nuclear weapons that was established as well in 1972. However, the threat is there. However, this policy to dissuade and this accumulation of nuclear weapons is still there. As a civil society, how can we face 9 countries, 5 in the Security Council, plus Israel, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and North Korea? They all have nuclear weapons. But we are a force, we are a world force, and we have the power that we have to awake. Civil society, all organized, over 100 countries together, decided to join efforts and to demand within the framework of the UN a treaty that prohibits nuclear weapons, That's the way that we got to 2017, and we submitted this need to do so because they had achieved a treaty of chemical weapons, of biological weapons. They had been forbidden, and non-nuclear weapons. Why? We got organized and we were able to do it. It went before the UN to request it, and this was approved by 122 countries. We put it together, we negotiated, and at the end, we got the approval. So, dear colleagues, we have a treaty that prohibits, that bans it for the first time in our lives. What are we doing right now? We're getting more signatures. We're asking the governments. We're providing information, and like my colleague said, we're providing information about the consequences, so all governments sign it and ratify it. We need more ratifications. On September 26th, we are 1 week away of the International Day for the Elimination of Nuclear Weapons. We have done everything we can so the largest number of countries can sign it and ratify it. We need to have this international instrument that is looking for 4 main priorities. First of all, prohibition. The prohibition on the use, production, storage, export, and very clearly financing of nuclear weapons. On the other hand, we also have, after the ban, what is the next step? Stigmatization. What does this mean? What stigmatization means? It's a rejection, moral rejection. Is to morally condemn any country that dares to use, produce, store nuclear weapons. But it also includes something that is pretty new. The victims of nuclear weapons. It demands repair, respect of the human rights of victims. We have seen, because we have seen different catastrophic experiences like the testing of the nuclear weapons. Let's ask our colleagues and those that have survived the Marshall Islands, all the problems that we had in the Pacific Islands, what was the destruction of their habitat. They were on, they didn't even know it, and from one day to the next, they had all of these problems, and the countries didn't do anything, and the countries didn't do anything to repair, to rebuild their habitat.
Never again. Never, ever again. This treaty, and I invite you to join in with us because we need the treaty. We need to move the Nobel Prize that resides in each one of you, and that we need to use all media channels. Technology is our ally. Hashtags, email, WhatsApp, whatever you wish to use. Let's continue and insist and urge with our government, have an influence with all governments around the world to truly be agents of change. History will be on our side. We deserve this. We have a right to life. Support us. We invite you this upcoming 26th of September that we all cry out for peace. No more nuclear weapons. I thank you.